All right, so now we're going to put in the oil line that runs from the motor, runs to the oil cooler. So shouldn't be too hard to get to, but we'll see once we get into it. So basically what it is back in here towards the back of the motor there. You probably can't see it. Right back in there at the bottom, there is a line that'll run up here, and it meets up with this line here and then goes to the oil cooler down underneath here. So I'm going to install that next, get that put in while it's accessible. Okay, so the line will go right into here and should run right along the motor and then go right up front like I explained a little earlier. There is 2 crush washers on there, so make sure you have those. One goes on the bolt side and then the other side, and then the banjo fitting will go here. Let me get that a little better there. So crush washer, banjo fitting, crush washer. Alright, so I got my crush washer on there. I'll slide it through the banjo fitting. Put my other crush washer on there. Make sure you hold it so it doesn't fall. And start it by hand. Which I probably should have done this before I put the spark plugs in, but it's still not that bad. Okay, so then you take your 23 mil. All right, so you take your 23 mil and tighten it up. There's no, I didn't see a torque spec on it. There probably is one, but I didn't see one anywhere. So just tighten it down real good and then wipe it down, make sure, and then once you start the car, of course, we'll check for leaks on the cooling system, oil system, everywhere. So alright, so that's done. So that's all there is to it for the oil line. If you're having to replace the oil line, what sucks is the oil line runs right along there, but where these 4 bolts are is the AC and power steering bracket, so it goes behind that. So you have to take all that off if you ever have to replace that line. So that's kind of a pain, but not too bad for that. So all right, so when put in the power steering AC bracket, there's two bolts, 2 smaller nuts and 1 larger nut, along with the washers. The larger nut is a 17 mil. The smaller one is a 14 millimeter. So you'll just need a 14-17 ratchet, and you may or may not need an extension. So it's pretty straightforward to put in. So we're gonna. Okay, so this just slides down in here like this, with of course the 2 pulleys up top facing the front. Slide that in like that. Then you're gonna put your washers on. You're going to put your 2 bolts in. One goes up here in the top. Okay, here's that one. And the other one goes right down below it, about halfway down the bracket. You don't want to tighten everything up yet until you get all the bolts started, because You might need to move this bracket around a little bit. There we go. Now, this has two different torque specs. Show it here. So the M10 bolt, or nuts, which is the smaller ones, is 23 to 34. The M12, which is that bigger nut, is 41 to 59. So we're going to go and start with the M10s, and we will do them to probably about 27 or 28 foot-pounds. We're going to do them to 29 foot-pounds is what I'm going to do it to. So I'm just going to start this top one here. Okay, clear it, and all right, do this one. All right. All right, so those are all torqued down. So they're starting to look like an engine again. All right, so far we've gotten quite a bit done. We've got the turbo put on, lower intake manifold put on, fuel lines hooked up, AC bracket put on. We've got the oil line ran from the back of the motor to the oil cooler. We've got the spark plugs put in, spark plug wires hooked up. So next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and put the AC compressor on. All right, so now we're gonna take and put on the AC compressor. It's pretty straightforward. It's 4 bolts, 4 12mm bolts. There's no, and 1 wire, no torque specs that I found. I did replace the O-rings with some new ones. I'm probably not going to hook the lines up yet. I'm going to do all that later on. Just so in case I have to do some other stuff, the lines won't be in the way. But it's not too bad. I didn't see any torque specs on it, so I'm just going to snug them up the best I can. But we'll go ahead and get this put in, and then move on to the next thing. Okay, so the compressor lines fittings go towards the top like this, and there's a little groove at the bottom that this just slides right into and kind of can help hold it in place. You just take each one of your bolts, feed them through. All right, so I am going to go ahead and put the 2 lines on. So move the power steering lines out of the way. So that the bigger one goes right here, which I'm going to put that on. I'm going to put that on last. I'll do the smaller one first, which is right here. So AC's installed, bolts are all tight, lines are hooked up, so it wasn't too bad of a job. So hopefully nothing leaks once we hook everything up, but it shouldn't. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and put the upper intake manifold on. Before we do that though, I gotta clean this surface off, make sure there's nothing down in these channels here. Just kind of look it over, make sure everything's, the zip ties still look good, all that stuff. So I'm gonna do that real quick, and then we'll put this bad boy on. All right, so I'm gonna start with cleaning this. Scrape this down just a little bit. All right. All right, so we put the gasket on, so that is done. Now the hard part. This thing's never fun to put on.
Line here. Okay, I'll take off it. It's gonna go straight down in here. I know you probably can't see it, but where the oil injectors were right then, it's gonna go right in between them. Alright. And now, right down here, there's a nipple that you can, this booster, right booster goes to. Partially on. There's one more. This goes right here.
Set that on there like that. And we gotta look at the torque specs. I can't remember what they are off the top of my head. Let's see. Lower intake manifold, upper intake manifold, 14 to 19 foot-pounds, so not very much. So we'll do them at 17. 14 and 19, so we'll do it at we'll do it at 16 and a half. No, do 17. So we're gonna do 17 foot-pounds. We'll start out here. Just snug everything down real good for now. Okay, so hook that line up, get a zip tie. All right, so that's on. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and start routing the wiring harness. So it's gonna go behind here and then start splitting off to the CAS, the temp sensors, which I should have done before I put the intake manifold on, so that might be a little bit of a problem. Well, the good thing is it's not hard to take the manifold off, but if I have to, but I really don't want to. So I want to run most of it behind there. So let's see what all's in this section. So we got the flex sensor, which is going to go over to there. This should be the CAS. Yeah, so this is going to go here. That's going to go across and down by the oil filter. Oil temp, oil pressure is going to go obviously right down to there as well. Coil packs straight across. And then this section of harness, I believe, coolant tip, yeah, this all goes underneath to here, to this area. Hopefully I don't have to take this back off. All right, so the wiring harnesses for the most part is done. I got it routed up in here. I just got to do zip tie a couple things, but I want to finish installing a few pieces before I tidy up the wiring some more. But generally, that's where it's going to run. So now I guess I can put the alternator on. So we'll do that here in just a few minutes, and it will start looking closer and closer like a completed motor. Okay. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and put the alternator on. I still want to upgrade to an S5 alternator, but I'm gonna do that later down the road. I would actually rather put that money towards getting new coolant hoses rather than that. So look like the long bolt on this right here is 27 to 38 foot-pounds. The shorter bolt is 14 to 19 foot-pounds, and the alternator strap, which is this, is 16 to 22 foot-pounds. So since I'm not going to be able to remember that, I'm going to bring this paper over to here. I have to reprint this paper, maybe laminate it after I get it updated a little bit more. Put that there. Let's see. To undo this bolt right here on the water pump in order to put this like that. So it's not a big deal. But I believe that is a 12. Putting the actual alternator on, and then I'll do this strap here last. All right, so we're gonna do this first. Oops. This spacer, you need to make sure it goes on the back side of this, so it goes, yeah. Like this. Let me get. All right, so it goes just like that. It goes bolt, alternator bracket, water pump housing or thermostat housing, spacer, alternator bracket, and then this this little nut here with the wire holder on it. Getting anything up yet? All right, so. All right, so we're gonna leave this just how it is for now until I get the belts all put on, and then we'll adjust everything and tighten everything up like it should be. So alternator is partially installed, but so not too bad. Okay, so pretty productive day on the RX-7. Got the drive shaft put in, got the exhaust taken out. I haven't polished it yet, but that'll be probably tomorrow. On the engine, we got the turbo put on, lower intake manifold, upper intake manifold, alternator, power steering bracket, AC put back on. The wiring harness ran for the most part. It's got a little finessing to do, so not too bad at all. So I guess probably tomorrow what I'll do is hook up all the wiring on the transmission, polish the exhaust. I gotta find an oil filter that's gonna fit on that, so gotta do that. The oil filler neck, I'll put that on. Really, that is it as far as for tomorrow, because I'm gonna order some new radiator hooks. I think ahead, probably the hardest thing left to do is going to be getting everything timed, which theoretically shouldn't be too bad, but I've only done it a few times on this car. So hopefully you enjoyed this video. You know, if you did, please give it a thumbs up, like it, comment, something you'd rather see or something different. Please critique. I'm not a professional mechanic. I just kind of do this for fun. Been doing it for years. This car has been a nemesis of mine for a long time, so I'm really trying to get this thing running properly and where I can kind of cruise it around. So anyways, thanks a lot. Like, comment, subscribe. I appreciate it. Thank you.